All right, everyone. Well, we have a ton of crazy new information in Raid Shadow Legends, and I'm actually very surprised because I did a glance through of the 1.15 notes before recording the video, and there's actually a lot of new stuff in here that we didn't know about until today. That's really what I wanted to focus in on in the video. I've already made several videos talking about 1.15 before, so I didn't really want to do a recap of all the features that we already know that are going to be coming, and mostly I wanted to focus in on that new information because some of it is pretty crazy, including what looks like to be nerfs to DR or damage reduction on champion abilities, what looks like to be buffs to DPS increasing abilities, and some other stuff as well. So just an overview, of course, we're going to go over the 1.15 notes, focusing in on that new information, but we've also got a 10-time summon event coming for the Banner Lords faction. So very similar to the last few summon events that we have had, this one is going to be for specific champions from the Banner Lords. So after we go over the 1.15 notes, I'll tell you guys my thoughts and some details about that. And we also have some freebies from Plarium as well, so check your mailbox. They haven't shown up for me yet because I left my game on overnight, so I'll have to restart it in order to get them. But make sure that you guys claim those. I know one of them was 1,000 energy. They usually last for a few days, maybe 7 days at the most, so it would be tragic to accidentally forget about all that free stuff. So now let's get into the actual patch notes here, because we do have them public, and today was supposed to be what they call like the press release for the patch notes, which is where they send the content creators a Word document that has information about the actual patch. It looks like this right here. But what I noticed is that in the announcement section of the Discord, they actually posted a link to kind of like an overview of the upcoming patch on the official Plarium forums, and I noticed that this overview is exactly the same. So this is the version that you guys will have access to, so I'll obviously leave a link in the description if you guys want to take a look at this in more detail on your own. But let's go over this version here because this is the one that you'll be able to actually follow along with. So let's get into some of that new stuff here. So of course, we have that clan boss change. We already know about that. Really cool. Very much looking forward to it, but it didn't look like we had any new information about that. Additional player levels. I'll get back to this in a second because I do have a comment about the energy and the fact that there is no additional energy being added past level 60. But I'll get back to this in a second because I want to get to the new information first. And let's start off with that right here because we do have some new stuff with the tournaments. So we know that the arena tournaments are going to be coming, arena onslaught tournaments. They're not going to be coming on the actual launch day of the patch. They're just kind of going to be thrown into the rotation. So it'll probably be a week or 2 weeks after the release of the actual patch. But this is interesting right here, this next one. Tournaments with additional conditions. Some tournaments will have specific conditions to complete. They will become available in the near future, such as defeating dungeon levels with champions belonging to the same faction or champions of the same rarity. Be on the lookout for these special conditions when new tournaments launch. So this is quite interesting because this is definitely new information, and when I read this I already had a question and I was a bit unclear. I tried to get some clarification from the Diamonds, but he did not know the answer to this as of right now. But the question is, with these new tournament conditions, does this mean that these are going to be brand new tournaments like the Arena Onslaught tournament that's added to the rotation, or does this mean that they are going to change the existing tournaments that we have right now and add these conditions either some of the time or all of the time to the already existing tournaments that are out? So kind of wish I knew the answer to that, but as of right now I do not, and I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see how things develop. But that could be pretty interesting. We'll have to see how the rewards pan out for that as well. Now, next up on the list, this is a really, really big one and probably what I wanted to spend a good part of the video talking about because I did get clarification about this from the Diamond, and this is the champion balances and bug fixes. So yesterday I mentioned the Diamond said there would be some champions on the list that would be rebalanced, and we now know what those champions are right here. So we've got Richtof the Bold, Elder Skarg, Duchess Lilitu, Ursine Ice Crusher, Vala, Rotos the Lost Groom, and Towering Titan. As well as Skull Lord and Fushan for some other skills right here. So Skull Lord Vargo can properly apply decreased max HP to targets under a shield buff. Fushan skill Howl now properly displays the stat that its damage is based on. And this is the big one here. The following skills are now multiplicative with other similar effects: damage, damage decreasing effects, etc., rather than additive. Now, this is actually very significant because the way that multiplicative bonuses work compared to additive bonuses are much different, and this is a game changer, especially for certain skills. Now, when I saw this, my immediate understanding was, okay, well, if things are multiplicative rather than additive now, this is going to be a buff for DPS increasing abilities, but it's going to be a nerf for damage reduction abilities. I know that might seem strange, but if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. And I actually asked the diamonds a little bit of clarification about this right here because, it seemed strange to me, and I wanted to get more information about this, obviously, and this is what the diamond actually had to say. So my message to him is, do you know more about the champion rebalancing? Champion skills going from multiplicative to additive. This sounds like a buff to damage dealing effects, but a nerf to damage reduction effects. Is this correct? And this is what the diamond said. It's better to calculate it. I haven't done that yet. Here's an example I was given about the damage reduction by one of our tech guys. Example of how it works. We have minus 30% damage reduction from artifact set and minus 10% from the skill. In total, it's a minus 40% damage reduction. Skills in set are additive. Makes sense, right? 30%, 10%, you get 40%. So you have a 40% damage reduction. But now, after the actual patch, this is how it will work. We have a minus 30% damage reduction using the set of artifacts, and then we remove minus 10% from that previously removed number. So you have to do one and then do the other one. So if we have minus 30%, right, we go from 100% down to 70%, right? But now what we have to do is we have to take that 10% from the 70% number. So we're only actually getting another 7% damage reduction instead of the full 10% that we were getting before. So previously it was 30% plus 10% for a total of 40%, but now it's 30% and then 10% of the remaining amount, which is 70%, so that ends up being 7%. So you get a total of 37% damage reduction instead of the old 40% number. So it does indeed appear to be a nerf for damage reduction. Now, 30% and 10% might not have been the best numbers to use as an example. If you want to think about it a little bit easier, maybe these numbers will help. Just think of 50%, right? So if you have a 50% damage reduction and then another 50% damage reduction through the additive system, you have 50% and 50% for a total of 100% damage reduction, right? Makes sense. You wouldn't take any damage. That's probably why there's not really ways to get that much damage reduction, because that would be completely insane. But now that it's multiplicative, you have 50%, and then you take another 50% of the remaining 50%. So it's actually only 25%. So now that it's multiplicative, it's actually 75% instead of the full 100% that it was under the previous system. So nerf for what looks like to be a damage reduction, but this does seem to be a buff for damage increasing or DPS effects, because when the numbers are above 100%, multiplicative bonuses become, they magnify, they get bigger. But when they're below 100%, they shrinken. So, it seems a bit strange to me. I'm not 100% sure. There's a possibility that it turns out to be, not quite exactly the way that this works, through either communication error or, who really knows. This is what it is right now. This is the information that I have. It still seems a little bit strange to me, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see when the actual patch launches. If you guys do have these champions, go through, do some testing right now to see kind of how much damage you're taking using these damage reduction effects, and then after the patch, do some more testing to see kind of how those numbers have changed. But I'm a little bit worried. We'll just have to wait and see. Who knows what the actual patch will bring, and I'm hoping for good news. I'm really hoping that it's not actually a nerf. Okay, so that's pretty much everything about the actual champion rebalances. Now let's see here. There's something interesting that I noticed about these miscellaneous improvements that I wanted to take note of. So you might be wondering, hey, do we have an actual date for the patch? And I did indeed ask the diamond here if he has a date. And we know that it is targeted for early May, which is next week, of course, but he doesn't have an exact date, right? However, if you take a look at this miscellaneous improvements, you'll see in this first line, they actually threw in a date here. I don't know if this was a mistake, an oversight, but considering that some of these changes, it looks like they are going to take place on May 8th, I think it's pretty safe to say that the patch is going to be sometime before May 8th, right? Gold 4 arena chests will see a significant reward buff. This change will take effect on May 8th, 2020, but keep in mind that it will not retroactively change the rewards received on Monday that week. Most players will receive the updated chests on May 11th. So now that they threw in those dates, I think it's pretty safe to say that it will indeed be early May for when we can expect this patch. Now, I wanted to go back to this actual additional player levels because this is obviously the most controversial change coming to the actual patch. And what we have here is another confirmation through the official patch notes that there is indeed not going to be any additional energy increase past level 60. Now, I made that video from a few days ago saying that the level cap was going to go up. However, we didn't have any information that we would be getting increased energy. And when I made that video, I got a lot of messages from people saying, are you sure? How do you know? Are you, is this 100%? Like, what's going on? Obviously, it's a very controversial thing. I still think it's a PR disaster for Plarium. Big mistake. I think you all know at this point how I, as well as most people in the community, how we all feel about this change. But when I got that information, it was indeed from Plarium. It was from the Diamonds. It was from a confirmed source and employee from Plarium. And this is just another confirmation here that as of right now, there is no increase to the energy pool or the maximum energy after level 60. Now, I am still trying my absolute best to get this changed, and I have ever since I got word of that. I've been doing everything I can, talking to the people that I know, trying to convince them, even starting off with something smaller, like if we could get 20 extra maximum energy, which is 1 every 2 levels, that would go from 130 to 150. I know that is not ideal. We obviously deserve and we need more than that, but I was just trying to see if they could somehow change their answer from no to, at least a little bit, and then we can kind of move on from there. But it doesn't seem like they seem to be budging on this, and, really unfortunate. So the new milestone rewards, I'm really hoping that they are like at the least a couple of sacred shards and a couple of legendary tomes. If these milestone rewards also turn out to be not super great, I'm very confused at what Plarium is doing here. I just don't think this is a smart move. I don't think it's, even if you think about it in terms of money, how much money are they really going to make by doing something like this? They're giving us 1,000 free energy in our mailbox right now. It just doesn't add up, and I really feel like something with the public relations and communication with Plarium when it comes to, making statements like this seems to be a bit off. But anyway, that's where they stand right now, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update that I am still working as much as I can to try to get that changed. But that's pretty much an overview of everything about the 1.15 notes. Everything else I've already covered in other videos. So now let's actually get into the summoning events that we have that is going to be starting up. So the Diamond posted this. Hello guys, here's the press release for 1.15. We just went over that, of course. Also tomorrow we'll launch the 10 times chance for Ancient Sacred Void Shards for several champions in the Banner Lords faction. And as I have done for the last few of these, I went through and put whether they are legendary or epic champions, and also the colors correspond to what types of shards. So yellow means they're going to be from just the Ancient and Sacred shards. And then the purple, of course, means that they are Void champions from Void Shards. So you see we have 4 legendary champions from the Banner Lords that are right up, and then 2 epics that are also going to be right up. And my opinion about this is pretty much as it always has been about all of these summon events. 10 times is almost always not as good for people as times 2. Times 2, for the vast majority of people watching this video, double rates is the way to go. The only really big exceptions, if you are somebody who wants to dump a lot of shards into an event like this, is if you've been playing the game for a really long time, you're a really big spender, you're, a whale, and these are just some of the last champions that you're really trying to get. If you feel like you're going to summon during a times 2 event and get a ton of duplicate champions that you're not going to be able to use, then sure, maybe this event might be better for you. But for the vast majority of people watching, you're going to get way more value from the double rates event. So I'm also interested to kind of see how the actual summon rush turns out as well. We've had some crazy summon rushes, so we've got another one, of course, starting up in less than a day that corresponds to that summon event, and who knows if they'll do that crazy thing with legendary books like they have been doing lately. And of course, the last thing is just those freebies from Plarium. Here is the exact message from Valkyrie. Hi guys, being stuck at home isn't all bad. It gives you time to work on yourself and focus on self-improvement, and that's what this week is about. It's a great chance to focus on developing your champions and making your team stronger. To help kick things off, we're giving everyone a few free gifts. Please re-log in and find one day 100% XP boost, 1,000 energy, 28 XP brews, 7 of each affinity, 1 rank 4 chicken, 1 clan boss key. Have a good day and be safe. So last little reminder here before ending out the video, make sure if you guys don't see the rewards like me, I've left my game on overnight so I have to reload it, but make sure that you guys claim them before they disappear. 1,000 energy is definitely nice and will help out pretty decently for this new 7-day Dungeon Divers, which is another really big one, 8,250 points. And we've also got some tournaments going on as well where we can put that energy to use. A champion training tournament, and also we still have that spider tournament as well as a few other dungeon tournaments coming up. So that's kind of the recap of everything that we know going on right now. I know this was a jam-packed video with tons of stuff in it, but I hope that you guys enjoy. I hope that it helped out. And of course, if you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine, so thank you to all of you guys who do that. And more raid videos should be popping up on the screen right now. Feel free to check them out. Over 230 raid videos on the channel. You can find pretty much anything about raid that you're looking for. But if not, have a fantastic day, everyone. Take care, and until next time, this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.